It is about to be a new year, dear listener, and we hope that this new year goes incredible for you. I'm sure you've already decided what you would be doing this New Year's Eve, but be warned, there are many dangers that may lurk just around the corner. Tune in and listen to the stories of 4 people who had the scariest experiences on New Year's Eve. It may help you save yourself from a similar fate. Tonight's story is about people celebrating New Year's Eve. It's a fun holiday for sure, but sometimes it may get a bit deadly. The first story tells us about a woman who is stuck in a stranger's basement after accepting a drink from an anonymous man. In story number 2, a young boy gets to meet a beautiful woman on New Year's Eve. But is it true love, or is she just a passing relic of the past? Our third story has our heartbroken protagonist being taken away by witches who try to make a sacrifice out of him. Our final story is that of strange texts plaguing a man on New Year's Eve. Sit tight and stay till the end to find out the dangers that this holiday might present and how you could save yourself. Welcome to your next chills before sleep. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for us to provide you with more scary stories. Don't forget to enable all notifications to join our weekly cash giveaway, pinned in the comments. How did I even get here? I asked myself as I tried to warm myself, lying on the cold basement floor. The thin ropes felt like they were slicing my skin as I tried to move my hands. The last thing I remembered was being in a club with my friends on New Year's Eve. I saw a handsome man who bought me a drink. We were talking, and I was drinking the drink when I started feeling a bit dizzy. That's the last thing I remembered before I woke up in this dark, damp basement. I started banging on the walls and asking for help, but no one was going to help me because it was simply too loud for anyone to hear my cries. A while later, I saw a large man enter the basement. It was the same man who had bought me the drinks. He had a tray of instruments in his hand. "Ah, doll," he said. "Don't worry. You'll make a lovely kill. No better way to start the new year than a new kill." The tray clumsily slipped out of his hands. One of the knives fell quite close to me. As he started picking up the tools, I hid the knife under my boot and slowly slipped it towards my hands. While he was setting up the tray again, I was using the knife to open up my ropes. Suddenly, I could hear people yelling outside. The countdown was in progress. 10, 9. I could see a baseball bat kept close to me. 8, 7. The man wasn't paying me any attention, so I picked it up. 6, 5. I slowly walked up to the man and hit him over the head with a baseball bat. 4, 3. He was about to turn around when I picked up the knife that was with me and stabbed him in the neck. 2, 1. I ran out of the house as people shouted, "Happy New Year!" I ran all the way to the police station. It wasn't that far away anyway. The police station was absolutely slammed because so many people were there for having drunken fights in bars. However, I found a female officer who was eager to help me. I broke down in tears and she offered me a hot cup of coffee and a blanket as I recounted my tale of how I had narrowly escaped dismemberment. The police went ahead and arrested that man. A while later, after searching his house, police found the remains of around 17 women there. I still thank my lucky stars that I had somehow narrowly escaped becoming the next victim of a serial killer. To all the women out there, I want to urge you to only go drinking with friends and stay safe. You never know if the most beautiful faces are hiding the darkest secrets. This year's family New Year party would be at my cousin's house. They lived in the countryside. Their house was literally an old villa. Many generations of family had lived there. I was having an awful New Year's Eve when I was approached by an odd woman. She was wearing old women's clothes. She looked like she had come from the 1800s. Her way of talking was the same as well. I kept asking her how she knew my cousins, and she said she was the caretaker's daughter, but my cousins didn't even have a caretaker. I thought I'd let her continue whatever cosplay she had going on. We talked almost the whole night. She was indeed very, very easy to talk to. I even took her to the dance floor, and we danced a slow song. That moment, it felt like no one else could see us, as if there was no one else in the room anyway. The clock struck 12, and I took a chance. I held her close to me and kissed her passionately. "They don't really do that where I come from," she said, giggling. "Oh, I hope my master had been more like you. But sadly, now I have to go." She turned around and started running away. I was about to chase her when I saw something that shocked me. There was a big hole in the back of her head. Safe to say, I fainted as soon as I saw that. When I woke up, it was a new day and a new year, and my cousins were teasing me, saying that I couldn't handle my liquor. I was pretty bummed out by this. I was about to start packing to go back when I saw a portrait in my room. It had the pictures of my great-grandfathers, but in a corner was the same woman who I had seen last night. I decided to ask my aunt about that, since she knew a lot about my family. She told me that that was the caretaker's daughter, and she had been shot by my grand-uncle after she rejected his advances. I was shocked when I heard this. I don't think I will ever visit that house again, because seeing her again would just break my heart. A beautiful soul who had her flame snuffed out too soon. This is a story of how I almost died last New Year's Eve. I had just broken up with my girlfriend, and so instead of going to party with my friends, I decided to stay back in my small town and drink all night. I should probably clarify that yes, I was not well dressed for the cold weather. After I was done drinking myself stupid, I stumbled out to the cold UK streets. The buses were not running that night, and all the cabs were busy in the city, probably having their hands more than full. I stumbled on the streets, drunk and underdressed, for probably a couple of hours. Sometime later, I started feeling really cold, but I could not find a taxi for the life of me. Eventually, I guess I passed out on the sidewalk. However, I remember seeing a group of women. They hoisted me up, and they walked me to a nearby alleyway. I don't remember exactly how, but I know I ended up naked and lying in the middle of a pentagram. There was a candle on all 5 sides of the pentagram. There were 5 women there, each woman sitting on one side of the pentagram. They all had daggers with me. They were chanting something while looking up at the sky. I was out of sorts and way too cold to protest anything that was happening there. They were about to make a cut inside my belly when a man in a taxi started yelling at them. That snapped me back into reality really fast. The man yelled at me to get in. I gathered whatever strength I had and I ran to his taxi and asked the man to gun it. The women started running after the taxi, but gave up chasing after a while. I was only wearing my boxers at that time. I asked the man to take me to a hospital. Seeing how cold I was, the man gave me a jacket he had. After I reached the hospital, I was taken to the ER. I passed out a while later. When I woke up, I was hooked onto heart machines and IVs. I pressed a button to call the nurse, and she called the doctor for me. The doctor I called told me that I had suffered from hypothermia and that there were lots of cuts and bruises all over my body as well. She told me if I had been brought in a while later, I would have died. I tried telling her about the women who had tried to sacrifice me, but she told me it may just be a hallucination due to the hypothermia. I will be forever grateful to the doctors and the taxi driver for saving my life, but the new year is coming back again, and I'm scared. What if the women come back again to complete their sacrifice? This story happened to me when I had just bought my new house. I was spending the New Year's evening with my friends. That's when I started getting texts from a number that I didn't know. It kept saying things like, "I'm outside," and that I'm coming to your house. I asked my friends if they were pulling a prank on me, but they swore that it wasn't so. The text started getting more and more threatening as the night progressed. The text kept saying that the person is inside my home and that they are in my kitchen. The text even said that they are watching me right now. I tried calling the police, but they said they couldn't do anything about this, and they could only help if things get worse. Thankfully, they never did. I asked my friends to try and call the number, but every time they called, it said the number wasn't working. It was very confusing for me, but very amusing for my friend group. The messages stopped coming after midnight and the new year had arrived. I never tried to find out more about the number because I was honestly scared of what I would find out. The New Year's Eve is about to arrive again, and I'm still paranoid that I would start getting messages from the same number again. Thank you for watching this video. Have you experienced a similar situation or another scary experience? Don't hesitate to submit your story by email or in the comments section down below. Ready for your next chills before sleep? Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for us to provide you with more scary stories. Let us know what you think, and don't forget to enable all notifications. Be the first one to get the chills.